Hello, my wonderful 7th graders. Welcome to the study guide lesson on pages 59-16, Dividing Rational Numbers, which is from lesson 3-4. Now, always remember that this is a recap of the lesson so that we can summarize. As we always start, we need to look at lesson 3-4 and list a couple of headings that summarize the lesson. The first heading I come across is on page 114 of your textbook, where we are looking at divide fractions, and we're going to look at the multiplicative inverses or reciprocals. Now, what does this mean? All of the properties of integers also apply to rational numbers. Two numbers whose product, so when you multiply, is 1 are called multiplicative inverses or reciprocals. The statement 1/4 times 4 equals 1 demonstrate this property too. So 1/4 of 4 is 1. Makes sense. Okay, key concept. Inverse property of multiplication. The product of a number and its multiplicative inverse is 1. For every number, a, b, whatever it is, where a or b does not equal 0, so these cannot equal 0, of course, because then the whole number is 0. There is exactly one number, ab, such as ab, ba equals 1. Okay? So, for example, 2/3 times 3 over 2 equals 1. Makes sense because you're multiplying the top and you're multiplying the bottom, which will give you 6 on the bottom and 6 on the top. When you divide 6 by 6, you get 1. Makes sense. So one thing we will look at, a key concept, is the inverse property of multiplication. Go ahead and write down inverse property of multiplication, which we essentially use for dividing fractions. Okay, so the lesson is dividing fractions, but in order to be able to do this, we have to learn the inverse property of multiplication. And secondly, in addition to dividing fractions, which we have here, to divide fraction multiply by its multiplicative inverse, meaning we flip the second expression. So 4/9 divided by 3/5 is 4/9 times 5/3. You see that? The second one, we have flipped it so that we have its multiplicative inverse. But we're going to also, in addition, we're going to divide algebraic expression. You can divide algebraic fractions in the same way that you divide numerical fractions. And there you have it, divide algebraic expressions. As always, copy these words exactly as you see them so I know you watched the video. Now let's look at this quick review here on the side. They want us to write each mixed number as an improper fraction. Remember, you multiply the denominator by the whole number plus the numerator. So we have 2 times 5 is 10 plus, so the first one is 13 over 5, and the second one is 4 times 1 plus 1 is 5 over 4 with a negative. Also include this, circle it actually, include this in your key answer by circling it. Okay, now let's see how dividing fractions relates to the real world. Here we have El Día de los Muertos. After learning the history of Mexico's holiday El Día de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, students created a clay container to commemorate a loved one. They made their containers from 2 slabs of clay that they cut into thirds. Complete the steps below to find the number of pieces used to make each container. So draw 2 rectangles to represent the slabs of clay. Go ahead and draw 2 rectangles. There's my 2 rectangles. The program colors them in automatically. You don't have to color yours in. Now, on the same model, show each slab, each one of these slabs, this one or this one, cut into thirds. Okay, there we go. I cut them each into 3 parts. How many pieces are used for each container? Well, we have a total of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So, 2 slabs divided into thirds equals 6. Right? Let's do the same for number 2 now. Draw a diagram to find 3 divided into quarters. So same thing, 3 slabs, and let's divide them into quarters. So there are my 3 slabs, and now I'm going to cut them into quarters, the way I'm being told. Cut them into quarters. So all 3 are going to be divided into quarters. So I essentially just cut it in half, and then I cut each half into halves, and that gives me quarters. So half and each half into half, and now I have quarters. How many slabs do I have in total now? I have 4, 8, 12. So 3 divided into quarters is going to be 12, as you can see right there. So how are 3 divided by a quarter and 3 times 4 related? Well, 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 divided into a quarter is also 12. So they have the same value. They have the same value. There you go. Copy that down exactly as you see it. Draw your slabs, and I know you will have watched this video. Next page. Okay, so now let's try to fill in the boxes to find the quotient of each one. And here we have the example of 2/3 divided by 7 over 3, or 7/3. Remember, we have to invert or flip the second one. So we rewrite it as, right here, as 2/3 times 3 over 7. You notice we have flipped it, and we changed the division sign to a multiplication sign. And then we go right ahead, 2 times 3. Oh, at this point, you can cross-reference. Don't forget, cross-reference. So here I have a 3, and here I have a 3. Okay, so those two cancel each other out, and now we can just multiply straight across. 2 times 1 is 2, and 1 times 7 is 7. So there's our answer, 2/7. Okay, let's try the second one. Again, we rewrite it as a multiplication, so 3/4. That one's written right there, you see it? This changes to a multiplication sign, which we put there now, and this one flips. Okay, so it becomes 8 over 5. Now we do our cross-referencing. Okay, oh, sorry, wrong one, I meant to do the laser. Cross-referencing, we can see that these two are multiples of 4, and we have one of them here and 2 of them there. Okay, now we can just multiply straight through, and we get 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 5 is 5, or we say it's 1 with 1 left over, 1 remainder, over 5. Number 3, explain how to divide a fraction by a fraction. Well, we multiply the first fraction, as you see there, by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Reciprocal means the flipped version of the second one. We multiply it, and then we simplify. As always, copy this exactly as you see it. Show your work on the top here, exactly as I've done, as a key answer. Okay, let's put a nice big star right there. Okay, now we're being asked to work with these algebraic expressions. Algebraic expression means it includes variables that we don't know their value of, but we know we can still work with them if we just follow the rules. Here we have x squared over 4 divided by xy over 2, right? So let's work with it. We write it out as a multiplication by inverting the second fraction, okay? And now we cross-reference to simplify. I see that I have multiples of 2 right here. I have 1, 2 there, right? And I have 2 of them here, okay? I have 1x here. I can take that one out. And over here, I can take that. That takes out the exponent, because up here I have 2 x's, and here I had 1, so 1 cancels out the other. And now I can just multiply straight across. So x times 1 is simply x. And then 2 times y is 2y. Okay? Okay. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare every single quotient here as a multiplication by inverting or flipping the second one. So go ahead, pause the video and do the same, and I'm going to write them all underneath. Alright, sorry about the mess, but this is the best I could do. Now here we go. I have 7 GH, and I change it to a multiplication. I flip the second fraction, and now I can cross-reference. I see that I have an h here, which is going to get rid of this h there. Okay, and I can't do any other cross-reference, so I just multiply straight across. 7 times 4f is 28f. Okay, 28f. And then I have g times 5 is 5g. Yeah? Okay, next I have, I already did it. I can cross-reference. I have multiples of 2 right there. I have 1 of them there and 6 over here, right? So I can just multiply straight through. Q times 1 is q. And 6 times n squared is 6n squared. Okay, there it is. That's my answer right there. Okay, continuing on. Okay, let's see what I did here. Now I obviously flipped it, and then I went ahead and multiplied. But before I multiply, I have to cross-reference, okay? And I take this b cancels out this b, right? And right here we have this a will take away this a. So what do I have at the top? I must have something. I can't just leave that blank. I have to have a 1, okay? There has to be a placeholder. It can't be 0 because there's still a value there. So we put it over 1, okay? The number. Now we have 6 times 3, and it's 6b times 3 is 18b. And there you go. Okay, so remember, if you end up oversimplifying the top to the point that you have nothing, a 1 must go in place. Okay, next. Cross-reference. Let's see what I can do here. I have an x and an x is gone. I have a y and a y is gone. And the cross-reference like this, no, we have nothing. So we have 14x times 10 is 140x over 1. All numbers are over 1, but we don't have to write that. Okay, now I have b over 2d times 9c over 2. Remember, I flipped it. Okay, let's see if I can cross-reference. I can't do anything here because 9 is not divisible by 2, not a multiple of 2, and I can't do anything this way. So I go ahead and multiply 2d times 2 is 14, and b times 9c is 9bc. In your notebooks, when I check your homework, I want to see all of this work done. I want to see all of it done to show that you actually did it with the video. And finally, write a summary. Write a summary, please. I will be looking for this. I will not write it for you. But what did you learn? Ask yourself, what did I just learn? You learned, obviously, to divide by decimals. You learned to divide with algebraic expressions. You learned to cross-reference, which means so that you can simplify. Please add all those sentences there. See you in class.